Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Halfback Dynasty. My name is Brendan. We are joined today with our co-host Tyler, the legendary Gator Sens. Tyler, how the heck you feeling, my man?
Feeling good, Brendan. Nice Saturday. Watched little sporting events with my wife. Played golf this morning.
Mhm.
Shot my best round ever. But I'm gonna give my brother a shout out, Brendan. Guess what my brother shot today? 18 holes. You know my brother. He's a great golfer. Just rough guess.
72.
67.
He's a madman.
So I got to give him the shout out, man. So yeah,
That's
it was good.
insane. What did you shoot?
82.
82. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I don't think I've ever shot below like an 85 before, to be honest.
Yeah, man. I had one bad hole. I had a shot at 70s for quite a while and then just had one bad hole where it was like, yeah, this is why you're no good. This is why you're no good.
The one hole ruins the whole round, brother.
No
Never,
doubt, man.
never. You can never go a full round just playing a good full round. There's always one or two holes that screw it up, or every hole, to be honest.
Yeah, or every hole, or you're like my brother and shoot a 67.
Yeah, that's insane. That's
And
insane.
my
Well,
brother's legit. No mulligans, no reading, nothing. 67.
yeah, yeah. Tell him next time I'm out there, dude. We'll have to see if like you and I could team up at like a best ball or something and see if we can beat him. I
And
don't
beat
even
him.
think you and I could scramble a 67.
Oh, no, probably not, man, but you never know. We'll have me, you, and one other guy. We'll scramble against him. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I wouldn't have faith in us. Not saying we're bad. I mean, mid 80s is good, but 67
It's
is
good golf.
outrageous for sure. So big
Oh,
shout
no
out to the
doubt, man.
J Dog. Hey, the more good rounds of golf he has, the more willing he probably is to trade. Or the worst, the bad rounds he has, maybe he gets a little more emotional and he's more willing to be on tilt. So I don't know if the good rounds or the bad rounds are good for him in terms of trading in fantasy football, but I hope that he's trigger happy. I want to make some moves. So
Yeah, you hit him up tonight, man. He's got to be feeling good. So you and I need to get that deal done. You and I need to get that deal done before tomorrow too. So we got plenty of deals tonight.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's start with that. Let's talk about it. Unfortunately, the outing. We're thinking about trading Aaron Jones in some sort of deal for Travis Etienne, and then Tyler, you bounced back the idea of involving DK Metcalf. I know Aaron Jones was hurt, but his outing on Thursday does not help his value at this point in time. So yeah, I need him
Right.
to bounce back big time. Dude, he doesn't belong on my team. I'm rebuilding. He doesn't belong on my team. And I'm struggling to even get a second round pick for him. But now he's probably worth the first to a contender with how big of a week he had in week one. But we'll see what happens. But let's hear your thoughts on a Travis Etienne straight up for DK Metcalf. Why is that a good deal for both of us? Why should I sell Metcalf to you? Live
I
negotiations,
think
brother.
it I think it's a good deal for both of us because you have a lot of young wideouts coming up. You need somebody to pair with Bijan. I know you got Gibbs, but we saw on Thursday night, man, I think Gibbs is going to be really frustrating. I think he's a good asset, but like, look at
Mm-hmm.
Swift. Detroit just doesn't roll heavy workload backs, except for Montgomery apparently on Thursday night. But ATN's a really good young running back.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't want to trade ATN, but I have Lawrence, ATN, Ridley. Like, it's more I want to break up that stack. And honestly, man, you know me, I am not a trade calculator guy at all. I think trade calculators are bad tools, but I actually plugged ours in to keep cut trade dead even. I couldn't even believe it. I've never seen a trade where like it's just like even trade.
Yeah.
So I do think again, I totally hear when you and I were going back and forth that wide receivers definitely have the longevity. I think
Mm-hmm.
running backs have the value because they're tough to get.
Yep.
ATN's pretty heavy workload back, honestly, man. And like I said, I don't want to trade him, but you got to give to get. I'm not a huge Metcalf fan. I mean, I've told you for years, I think he's overrated, but I like his game. And it's more trying to get something of like value that, isn't underselling ATN or pretending ATN is, Bijan Robinson and worth the moon, but I think ATN's top 10 running back easily, probably top 7 in Dynasty, and I think Metcalf top 10 wideout. I think Metcalf has fallen further than ATN like the last year, but I think they're both good players. And again, I think it hurts my team. My remaining running backs would be Jacobs and Stevenson. You sustain an injury there, you're in some trouble. I mean, I've got wide receivers to move, but I wouldn't want to like make a move for Metcalf to then just have to trade him in a few weeks. But Jacobs looks awful. Bill Belichick's still trying to pretend he's the smartest guy in the room and, running Zeke, who's awful. But yeah, man, I think it's an interesting trade. I think it's a good trade. I think you need a bit more running back help than Metcalf is important to your team because you got some good young wideouts coming up. Addison has hit early, so that's definitely helped. But, it's just one of those deals that kind of feels almost
It
like a
feels
lateral.
good. It
Yeah, it
feels
feels like
fair.
a lateral. I don't think anybody's winning or losing that deal. So just kind of a fun deal.
Yeah,
What are your
yeah.
thoughts, man? I know you kind of want an ad there, but
Yep. Yeah. So, well, being the businessman I am, of course I'm gonna leverage, brother. If
oh, of
someone comes
course.
to me and offers something like that, I'll never accept right away unless it's like an unbelievable deal where I'm like, you shouldn't have offered that to me.
Right.
I'll always leverage and say, look, if you're willing to start at this offer, you're willing to add. And although I am in agreement with everything you said, the only two things holding me back. One, the injury rate of running backs, which seems like it has
Sure.
gone up even more than what it was in the past couple of years, which is crazy because there's been a lot of injuries of recent years. And two, the big league is start one running back.
Yep.
So if I have Gibbs and Bijan, and obviously Aaron Jones right now, which let's be honest, Aaron Jones probably could be good for next year as well, right? If I can somehow figure out a way to compete for next year, that running back core is great. Now,
Yep.
if you add Etienne to the mix and then maybe I can move Jones, it just got even better. But if it's basically what start one wide receiver, three or two or three flex, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yep.
But
Agree.
basically the idea, and we've spoken about this, is the strategy is have one stud running back, maybe a second good one, or enough to sustain an injury, and then just have stud wide receivers. And although I don't believe DK Metcalf will ever be considered like that stud top 5 wide receiver,
Sure.
he does have a safety net that is pretty much startable for the next however many years he's under contract. He's doing pretty well with Geno Smith, and his floor seems very safe to me. 60, 70 yards a game with, 5 to 6 receptions every 2, 3 games, maybe a teeter.
Right.
But a lot less of an injury chance. He's a lot less likely to be injured than a running back. And Etienne's already been injured. So I feel like with the Lisfranc injury, it's not going to affect Etienne in the long run, but he's already been injured and running backs go down like crazy. So I will tell you this. If you can throw in a second round pick, I'll do it. I'll do it right now. I don't know
I
what you
don't
have. You have a 2025 second?
I do, but I don't think I'm looking to trade that far out just because of the makeup of my team. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not that you're likely to land a good running back in the second round of a dynasty draft, but you can. And I think by the time 2025 comes, is kind of going to be in that range where, I'm not rebuilding by any means, but I'm going to need running back help by then. So I'm very weary to trade picks because I didn't have a first this year. I'm not going to have a first in 2024. That's kind of when your teams start to age out, and all of a sudden you're like, ugh, I know in the moment picks, you're like, yeah, whatever. But when you start stockpiling multiple years with limited, I consider a first and a second good picks. From there, it's you got to get
It's only
lucky.
first and seconds. Yes.
Yeah. So when you're drafting in the third or worse, for 2 years, I think is when your team can start to get in trouble. So
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
why I'm wary to add a second. I'm not adverse to adding a piece. I think Godwin on top is pricey. So, I don't know if there's like a middle ground there. So, and it's interesting you brought up injuries because I fully agree. I think running backs, man, you're just hoping your running backs stay healthy. But I've off and on over the years, DK's been pretty banged up off and on as well.
Yeah, but not like a season-ending injury.
Sure. Yeah.
He's missed a couple weeks here and there every season,
Right.
which you're right. As long as your guy plays, they have a great chance of if you have a starting running back that plays a full season, there's a great chance that they'll be like a top 15 guy. I mean, that's really
Oh,
what
100%.
we figured out. So that's really
100%, man.
upsetting, that it's really the standards are just stay on the field. But you're right, DK has been beat up here and there. But he also can have big weeks, but obviously so can ETN.
Sure.
I do like that ETN has gotten the majority of the work, which I think is great, and I'm for sure interested. What if we did something like this? And this is dope that this has turned into a live negotiation. I mean, there's always more pressure instead of doing it over text. Like you can't hide behind the text right now. This is mano y
Yeah, you
mano,
can't
brother.
hide, you can't hide behind it. You can
Yeah,
see
so
my face. I'm actually interested.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And I respect that we're not trying to fleece each other, right? Obviously, we're trying to get good deals. I think you're more willing to buy than I'm willing to sell. So
Sure.
I do think Godwin would be pricey. What if I added a 2024 third round pick in addition to ETN for Godwin and or for Godwin and ETN? I add the third to Metcalf. That gives you a dart throw. Thirds don't do much, I get it, but that gives you a dart throw. Maybe you could get like a Terry McLaurin or like an Antonio Gibson. Maybe they're good for a year and then that's that.
Right. Right. I'll think about it, but my initial thought is I'd pass on that.
What about your boy Jerry Judy? Dude, he sucks. Jerry Judy sucks.
He does suck. I'll give you that. But I would not include him either. We all know tomorrow. We talk about it all the time, my man, that it's a day-to-day stock market. We all know that Denver Chicago game is going to be like 50-50 somehow. Everybody in
I
that game
hope,
is
or
going to
it's gonna be
blow up,
like
man.
six. It's gonna be like 6-9 with 5 total field goals.
Yeah, it's going to be either that or like 65-65, and everybody's
Jerry
going to be like
Judy.
the best asset ever?
Jerry Judy, 15 receptions, 200 yards, 3 tutties.
Exactly, man.
Russell
Like I
Wilson,
expect
crazy. What's up?
I expect tomorrow, based on what Miami did. I don't know if you saw this, but Miami's third string running back against Denver even had 70 yards. So they had Achan and Mostard who went ballistic combined for 8 touchdowns. Tomorrow is the day that your boy Roshan Johnson becomes a thing. Tomorrow's the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Bears better win. Otherwise, the whole city of Chicago will be in shambles. And if not to get off topic, but if the Bears don't win, I 100% am certain they will try to tank. Like, not, I mean, in the NFL at a professional level, you can't like purposely tank or make it seem apparent that you're doing so. But if they
Right.
lose to Denver tomorrow, that puts them in a great position already to get the number one pick. So I
Yeah,
don't know. I
man.
can't see the Bears losing, dude. I think Denver has the better roster, to be quite honest with you, and the better coaching. But Justin Fields is Justin Fields. He could probably single-handedly win that game if he shows up. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Should we take
they can't
predictions?
stop
Who's
they
gonna
can't
win, bro?
stop anybody
Denver's
who
favored.
runs. So
What's up?
they can't stop anybody who runs. So if Fields is running tomorrow, it's game over.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I'm actually benching him in 2 of my leagues for Brock Purdy. I can't do it anymore,
Yeah.
man. I can't do it.
Yep. It's
So we'll
understandable,
see.
man. My
I have Fields
prediction
in.
is either 65-55 or they are going to tie 3-3. It's going to be one of the two.
Nice. Nice. In overtime, they just have a bunch of 3-and-outs.
Yeah, just tie, 3-3. Maybe even
Nice.
2-2. It's hard to say.
2-2 would be insane. That might be a unique box score right there.
That'd be so
But
cool.
yeah, so I have Fields in like 7 of 8 leagues. Like in all my redrafts, I got him. In like 4 or 5 dynasty leagues, I got him. I'm gonna start him in like 3 or 4 leagues, but then I'm gonna bench him in my redraft leagues just because I don't know,
Sure.
man. You just don't know nowadays. I need the points. I'm off to a slow
Hey, man.
start.
Yeah,
So
totally.
okay, all right. Let's circle back real quickly. I got one more proposal for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Since I know you won't trade any Alabama receiver. I know that's off the table. So um what if this is gonna sound mad? What if I throw in a 2025 second on top of Metcalf for Godwin and Etienne? That's not bad. I know the pick's a little further out, but your team is so stacked. Like your only issue is going to be running back. You have Lawrence, Lamb, Kittle, Etienne, Jefferson, Hill. That might be the greatest wide receiver core I've legit ever seen on a fantasy roster. You've got right now Godwin, Judy, Stevenson, Ridley. I mean, you got a whole bunch. Kieran Williams. I mean, you got a whole bunch of people that like can fill in nicely. But
Yeah,
your
man,
wide receivers are golden, brother. Hill will play till he's 32, 33. Jefferson and Lamb have another 10 years. I
that's
don't know.
intriguing, man. That's intriguing. That one literally is leaning towards an accept. I mean, you and I are definitely going to text after the show because we got
Mm-hmm.
we got some listeners that want to hear some start sits, but
Mm-hmm.
that one has me very much intrigued. But we got to get it done tonight, man, because ATM plays in London. Like that game's early, early.
Yeah.
So
I'll be
you
at the
want him
bar.
in your lineup, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I need to look up the history of London games. I feel like there's always a lot of underperforming players in these London games. And then there's like one player that just shreds. But I can't recall from what happened
I
the
think it
past
was
year.
ATN last year. I think
Just
ATN,
shredded.
I'm pretty sure that started that stretch where he had like 20 or 30 points like 3 weeks in a row.
Oh, that's what's up. Then I definitely got to get it before tomorrow.
Yeah, right?
Sheesh. He turns it up in another country and then brings it back home. I like it. I like it.
The
So,
best
all right,
part
all right.
is,
Well, that's the current offer. We'll talk over text after the show, and then we'll see if we get the trade done. I'm feeling good about that. I think that's a good offer. So, yeah, let's jump into some stardom situms or some would you rather's. Um, I've got the players right here. Give me 1 second to pull them up. Yeah, hopefully
Brendan,
Bijan, like
I'm just gonna say one other thing. Sorry to interrupt about the
you're good.
potential deal. Is that game
Yeah.
kicks off at 7:30 my time AM? So I'm gonna be pissed by 9 AM when ATN has like 30 points. It's
You're gonna
already gonna be like, well, that was a terrible trade.
you're gonna wake up to an ESPN notification that ETN has a Hall of Fame game.
Exactly. And then Metcalf's gonna sit because he has the flu, something like that.
Metcalf out for the year, torn ACL. Ooh, that'd be bad.
Yeah, that would hurt.
I don't wish that on anybody, brother. All
No,
right, here we
definitely.
go. So obviously, a lot of these guys, a lot of these high end guys, you're gonna start them every single week. So where I want to put the pressure on you to hear your opinions is on these flex players, right? It seems like the stardom situms are pretty much revolving around flex players. You pretty much know your set starters for your running back slots, your wide receiver slots, things like that. Maybe tight end shaky because a lot of people stream tight ends, which I'm all on board. I got Evan Ingram in a lot of leagues, and I'm just telling you, I'm super satisfied. He's the tight end 4. Who would have thought that I'm happy with Evan Ingram? But
Beast,
yeah,
man.
yeah. All right, so here we go. This is a toilet bowl question right here for the quarterback.
Nice.
You ready?
Starting early. Nice.
Would you rather start Jameis Winston against a moderate to bad Tampa Bay defense, or Ryan Tannehill against the Cincinnati Bengals?
Oh, easily Winston for me. We all know Winston airs it out. He might throw some picks, but you're way more likely to get 400 yards from Winston than Tannehill any day
Mm-hmm.
because he just airs it out. He's got Olave who's quick. Shaheed is an interesting flex play for me this week because Winston's going to be airing it out. But easily Winston, man. I think Tannehill, fantasy wise, is one of the worst quarterbacks you could have to play. Not
I have no
saying
idea
real
how he
life,
has a job.
but fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It's too bad Malik Willis didn't work out because Tannehill, for some reason, is still their guy. So I don't know what's going on over there. They're just good enough not to have like a top pick.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
that's the worst
just
thing you
good
can
enough.
do.
You got
Stuck
to
in
throw in one.
mediocrity.
You got to
What's
throw
up?
in Malik Willis so you can get that number one pick.
Yeah. I honestly thought I heard rumors of him being cut like in the offseason, but I can't remember. So did he slip to the third round? I mean, he was supposed to be like, I think he was supposed to be like the number one ranked quarterback going into that
Oh, for
draft.
sure. Yeah,
Horrible quarterback draft. I think he was basically Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett.
not good.
That's really bad. That's probably the worst quarterback draft of like the last 20 years. So,
That's pretty bad, man.
okay, let's move on. Here's another toilet bowl question for you. Matt Stafford against the horrible Colts defense, or Sam Howell, who I still can't get a read on if this guy is going to, maintain any type of value against the Eagles.
Oh, Stafford for sure. I mean, Howell was a disaster last weekend, and we all know the Eagles have a great defense top to bottom. I mean, they're going to get multiple sacks. He's going to be in a hurry. I'm not saying Stafford's great, but I would much rather have, a veteran guy that versus a not a rookie, a second year guy that's going to be scrambling against a really, really good defense. Stafford for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah, Matt Stafford's basically good for 2 picks a game. So,
Oh, for sure.
it's only minus like 4 points, so he'll make it up in yards. The only reason why I would consider Sam Howell here, and this is just a random memory of mine of recent years, the Commanders compete in their divisional games, brother. I
Sure.
feel like they always compete in their divisional games, and the Eagles will probably be 5-0 after this week, or 4-0. What are they, 3-0 right now? Yeah, they'll be 4-0 after this week. But I think that there's a chance that Howell, throws 250 yards, maybe 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and then he'll get sacked a lot, maybe lose like 3 fumbles. But yeah, horrible outing last week against Buffalo. 170 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, brother.
Brutal, man.
That's
I think
bad.
he's got to settle into dumping off to Brian Robinson more. Brian Robinson's a great pass catcher, and he's just got
Yep.
to settle a little bit more.
Brian Robinson's been proven to be a pretty good fantasy asset as well. So I know
Good
I know
player.
you're a big fan of his story. Got shot in the leg, recovered.
Yeah,
Took the role from Antonio Gibson, which was as clear as day. I mean, if you couldn't catch on to that, and if you drafted Gibson this year, you're not paying attention. That one was pretty obvious. So
yeah, man. He was I traded him in what week before week 1 or 2, and it was really tough for me to trade him, but that was the Tyreek Hill trade. I had to make that trade.
yeah, yeah. Well, dude, Hill is a baller, man. Hill's
Yeah,
Hill's
for sure.
easily top 5 fantasy asset in super flex leagues, no doubt.
100%.
All right.
100%.
Let's move into running backs. This one's quite interesting as well. Zach Moss, who's been balling out on the Colts, which is just crazy to me because Zach Moss also sucks. So who would have thought?
Yeah.
I'm being very blunt today, Tyler. I'm being very blunt, but you got to
Sometimes you got to
respect the
say it.
straightforwardness. All right. Zach Moss versus the Rams, or somebody who's probably going to lose their job real soon, Alexander Madison against the Panthers. Panthers are god awful.
I would probably roll Madison. I think Moss's stats were a bit inflated because Anthony Richardson didn't play. Richardson is playing this week. He's going to run the ball a little bit more. Offense is just going to look different. In general, I think Richardson's going to be a good quarterback, but right now Gardner Minshew was way safer, and I think that helped Zach Moss a lot. So yeah, I would roll Madison.
Awesome.
I just think with Richardson back, it's just different.
Yeah. Yeah. And they got nothing to lose. Richardson should just do whatever he wants. I know he's a rookie, but you got nothing to
Right.
lose.
You know?
Yeah. So we'll also see the return of Alvin Kamara for this week. And Alvin Kamara facing Tampa Bay. I don't know how he will do, but I'm convinced that I would start him over this running back, Derrick Henry, who's been awful as well. So who would you rather start? Kamara against Tampa Bay or Derrick Henry against Cincinnati?
Um, I am gonna play Henry. I remember a few games Winston with Kamara. Winston does not dump the ball off at all. So I think, Winston would rather throw it 70 yards and have it picked or have a huge completion than dump it off for a 5 yard gain.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't feel comfortable with either one of them. But with Kamara, probably being rusty, obviously he's going to be fresh and healthy. But Derrick Henry, you just need one run. The dude is so fast. He's so big. He could break an 85-yarder to the house still at his
Mm-hmm.
age. Again, I don't like either one of them. I would be nervous either way, but I would stick to the safety side of Derrick Henry. I think
Okay.
Kamara is just a different asset when he's not catching passes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, he relies on a lot of passing volume, especially in PPR formats. That's where you see a lot of his value. Okay,
Yep.
does the seasonal start of James Conner? He's had a great start. I think
Yes.
he's rushed for like almost like 300 yards already through 3 weeks, and he's got 2 touchdowns. He's going to be playing a tough defense in San Francisco. Would you start him over Elvin Kamara?
Um, Again, I want to say no, but I think sometimes in fantasy we we take matchups a little too far. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think James Conner's going to have a great day, but I think Connor can get in the end zone. That's really James Conner's played extremely well so far. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
don't I remember last year, Brendan, I had Jacobs obviously who was just a beast. And I fought all week about playing him against San Francisco, and I benched him, and he had like 20 points because San Francisco was the best D. And it's like, dude, you're overthinking this. And I convinced myself you're really not. They're too good of a defense, and he still scored relatively well. I think
Mm-hmm.
Connor is such a good goal line running back that if Arizona can score 21 points, there's a chance Connor gets two of those. So
Mm-hmm.
I would still play Connor. Again, I think sometimes matchups scare us a lot. James Conner's a veteran. He's a good running back. If it was like a guy that's kind of real, I'm trying to think of a guy that you don't feel comfortable starting anyways. I wouldn't play him against San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
but James Conner's been good he was good last year. He's been good for 2 years in
Or
Arizona. So
yeah, I think he's been since he had that breakout season in Pittsburgh. He's
yeah,
been
he's been
pretty good.
solid. Yeah,
I mean,
he's
for
been
a
good,
guy
man.
that kind of came out of nowhere, I think he was like a third or fourth round NFL pick. Actually, I think he might have been like fourth or fifth, to be honest. I can't recall,
Yeah, I
but
think he was pretty late.
yeah, but that's the type of guy that you want to see exceed, and he's just proven time after time. Even though for some reason his name carries some sort of sketchiness to it. I
Right.
never draft him, I never trade for him, but he produces. So
Yep.
I think Connor is. I think I could see him. He's right now. He's the running back 10 in whichever league I was looking at based off the format. I could see him finishing well within the top 15. So, but he's a sell high candidate for me. If I have him on my team, I'm selling him, trying to get in a first round pick out of it if possible. So, yeah, I think I would choose Connor over Kamara just until we see what he does on the field.
Well, he's a
Cool. Let's
great
move.
pass catcher too, which I think could really
Yeah.
help him tomorrow. They're gonna have to put up points against San Francisco, and
Yeah.
for a okay starter in Dobbs, I mean, just dump it off. I think he's going to catch a lot of passes that will help his.
Mhm.
I think his stats are going to be ugly, but I think he's going to do enough to have 10, 15 points, which in fantasy is pretty decent.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And most people probably have Connor as a flex play. So I would probably start him. There's no reason not to. He's had 3 pretty good outings this season so
Yeah.
far. You start him until something else happens. Okay, let's do one wide receiver matchup here. I've got George Pickens against Houston, or I've got Cortland Sutton versus Chicago.
I think Houston has a pretty sneaky good secondary, honestly. They've got a pretty
Mhm.
good pass defense. I'm honestly, like I said, I wasn't even just being facetious because it's you and I in Denver and Chicago. I think almost everybody within reason tomorrow is a good play on both sides of that ball. So
Mhm.
Sutton has played well. He's played well pretty much all season. So I would play Sutton, man. I really think there's going to be a lot of points in that game because it's just going to be two bad football teams, quite frankly.
Mhm. Should I start Fields over Purdy in the leagues that I swapped them? You got me second guessing. I don't know.
I mean,
This is the one time to play Fields, to be honest.
yeah, I mean the rush defense for the Broncos is atrocious, and let's face it, I mean Fields can be like Lamar Jackson. He can basically just play running back in those kind of games. But I mean, if
Mhm.
you go back over the fantasy stats against Denver all season, the running backs have destroyed Denver.
Mhm.
Destroyed them.
Mhm.
Which again, I know Fields is not a running back, but Fields can put up 120 on the ground, and that brings your fantasy total to a completely different realm for Fields.
I think I'm gonna change it back. Again, the two leagues that I benched him were redraft leagues, so it's not like I have a ton to lose. But
Sure.
yeah, I'll probably start him. I agree. There's no reason not to.
Yep.
Okay, I've got a tight end matchup here, but honestly, it's such a crapshoot that I'm not even gonna ask it. You basically play who you got. Tight ends, I think you can be a little bit more you can play more to the matchups since you are probably streaming them, or if you don't have a top 3, 4 guy. Um, Real quickly, big shout out to Sam Laporta. Dude's balling out as a tight end. Super, super cool seeing him be a big component to the Lions offense. So I think he's going to be a stud in the making. But while we have a couple minutes left, I want to talk about a trade offer that was made to me yesterday in a league. And this belongs under worst trade offers in Dynasty football. You ready?
I'm ready, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Hold on. Let me pull it up. So I was offered, and I couldn't tell if this dude was serious or not, but I think he was. Because after bringing up a couple of these players tonight in their hot start, he's trying to pawn them off. I was offered Zach Moss and Cortland Sutton for AJ Brown and Bijan Robinson, bro. Like, come on.
Uh, I
That
hope that
is
per I hope
what's
that
up?
person's kidding. I hope that person's kidding, but
Yeah.
that's
So
just a
bad.
waste. That's just a waste of time.
So bad. So bad. And I
That's awful.
replied, close. And then he said, I thought so. And
Awful.
then I had to, the reason why I don't think he was trolling is because then I thought to look at, Zach Moss and Cortland Sutton again, and they are off to good starts right now. Obviously, Zach Moss is going to be benched when JT comes back, and Sutton
Yeah.
won't maintain this most likely through the whole season. But I wouldn't even trade either of them for that package. In fact, you could add a first to Moss and Sutton, and I still wouldn't trade either of Robinson or Brown. So pretty
Yeah,
crazy,
Brendan,
brother.
that's atrocious, man. I was gonna say you drop Bijan out of that and you add two firsts, Sutton, Moss, two firsts for Brown. I can see that.
Maybe.
Then you immediately drop Moss because he's going to be droppable. That trade is
Yeah.
atrocious. It's absolutely awful.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah. So
waste of time.
I've sent trades
It's
that
fine.
aren't really favored by my league mates, and that's okay, but this one's bad. So figured I'd leave you with that, Tyler. Great to see you. Good luck, everyone, in week 4. Tyler, you know the drill. You're in this for life.